There's been a lot of talk about record low cattle numbers and the need to grow the U.S. cow herd. So what's happening in the cow and bred heifer market this year? We have more in this week's Market Watch.
Market Watch.
And joining me in the studio is Troy Applehans, market analyst for CattleFax. Troy, welcome back to our show.
Great to see you again, Kevin.
Well, I want to ask you about this cow herd. At the end of the day, what do you see happening currently, and what will happen in this commercial female market?
We've transitioned, obviously, from the first couple months of the year, January and February, typically months that there's a significant amount of bred females available, whether it be cows or heifers. And then you transition to the spring calving time frame. And so the seasonal peak in prices for bred females is typically the first couple months of the year right prior to calving. And so we're now into the pairs sector as we go forward, but we'll quickly transition into breeding season for spring calving operations. During the months of January and February, we saw both females in terms of cows and heifers averaging about $1,300 on a U.S. average. Obviously there's regional differences. But going forward, we feel like that this is still probably one of the best commodities to own in the cattle sector. Mother Nature's been a big hindrance on the market, obviously. And going forward, we feel like the upside potential to the bred female market is probably anywhere from $200 to $500 a head if Mother Nature kind of cooperates with us a little bit.
Yeah. We saw record low cow numbers January 1. Do you see expansion occurring in this cow herd?
We're seeing signs of it. It's slow to materialize, Kevin, obviously due to Mother Nature and the moisture conditions around the country. There are some regions of the country where the drought hasn't been as impactful that have started to increase. We've seen heifer placements into the feed yards kind of stabilize. They're not increasing as much as they once were. You know, steer and heifer slaughter last year was down 3%, but heifer slaughter was down more than that at 5%. That's a pretty good indicator that people are trying to save back a few more females. On the inventory report in January, we did see about 100,000 more head versus a year ago to be used for replacements. And yeah, you're right. I mean, the cow numbers are at historically low levels, lowest levels in 60 years, down about 860,000 from a year ago. It's currently at 29.3 million head of beef cows.
So talk to us about the implications. What are some of the positive and the negative implications of actually growing the U.S. cow herd?
It's a double-edged sword oftentimes, particularly if you expand too fast. In this current environment with Mother Nature and moisture conditions not being very adequate, I certainly don't feel like that we're going to expand at too rapid of a rate. Okay. But you always run the risk of, if you don't expand and you have additional outlets for your product, whether it be in export markets or increasing domestic demand, you always run the risk of not being able to fill those orders and those customers going elsewhere in order to fill their needs. On the other side of that, if you expand too fast, obviously prices are going to go down.
Right. Well, it's a real tough balancing act, isn't it?
It is. It's a double-edged sword in most cases. And again, I don't think that we're going to expand at too rapid of a rate, if at all.
Yeah. Well, only time will tell. Thank you so much for your insight.
Thanks for having me.
For more information and expert analysis, visit CattleFax.com.